Good morning. It's another beautiful day, and we woke up on the right side of the grass. Amen. Amen. Um, in my prayer time this morning, I was drawn to Matthew 26:6, and it's the story of Mary, who was Martha's sister and Lazarus' sister. And it's right before Jesus goes to the cross, and him and all the disciples and Mary and Martha and Lazarus are all at Simon's house. And Simon was a man that Jesus healed from leprosy. And they were all there, and they were having their Passover meal together, because this was Passover time. And he was explaining to them this was going to be their last meal together. The disciples still could not wrap their head around this thing. They were reluctant, resistant. They didn't want him to go anywhere. And so this is the part that she's one of my favorite people in the entire Bible, really, truly. And so it says, a woman, which is Mary, came into the house with an alabaster flask filled with fragrant and expensive oil, and she poured it over his head. Now, there's 3 different accounts of this story in 3 different gospels, and so what the general consensus is that she poured an entire vial, which was in John it says it was almost a pound, which is almost a liter of this oil, poured it over his head, and the whole thing covered his head all the way down to his feet. And it says that the disciples got mad. Now in John it says that Judas Iscariot got mad, and Iscariot just means locksmith, so he was the guy who kept Jesus's money. And it says in the very next paragraph in John, it says that he got mad because he was greedy. And he said, oh, well, we could have sold that for 300 denarii, which was a year's salary at that point. But not because he wanted money to give to the poor, but because he was skimming off the top of Jesus's accounts, and he wanted a little bit of that. But in Matthew, it says all the disciples got mad and said it was a waste, and that we could have fed the poor. We could have done something with that. You just wasted really good resources. That's one of the reasons I love this woman. The very first time that she meets Jesus, you find her at his feet, literally just sitting there, consuming him. And her sister gets really mad at her because she's trying to get dinner together and do all these things, and she comes to Jesus and actually complains about her to him. And she's like, I am over here making you this big old feast and doing all this stuff for you, and she's just sitting here soaking up the rays, and this isn't fair, is what she said. She got really upset. And Jesus scolded her. He said, she's chosen the better part. I would rather you leave the dirty dishes till tomorrow and come spend time with me. This is why I love her. So, obviously, if she loved him that much from the beginning, after he raised her brother from the dead, she probably had a way better love for him. And so here's the thing that I love. The fact that she loves him. Her heart is for him. Don't get this twisted. This isn't a natural, kind of love, man-woman marriage love. This is the way we love Jesus, okay? And she loved him. None of the disciples yet were really in a place where they could say that they loved him like that yet. None of them. She poured out what was more likely her entire inheritance on the top of his head. because she loved him so much. She emptied out herself in worship of him. And if she was left with nothing, then she was left with nothing. But she had given everything that she had to the best thing that she could possibly give it to, Jesus. And he defended her. Guys, he didn't wait a second. He was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Y'all are not going to criticize her. You don't even understand what she just did. You can't even wrap your head around it. She loves me, and she has given the best of herself to me. And he promises at that point that every time the gospel is preached, the world will be remembered of her and her honor and her sacrifice and her worship. And it is. In 3 gospels, it tells this story. And everywhere the gospel is preached, everyone knows about the alabaster box. Everyone knows about the jar that was wasted on Jesus. So I'm just here to tell you, love is all he's ever wanted from you. He doesn't want your clean house. He doesn't want your tidy dishes. He doesn't want your picture perfect children. Don't get me wrong, he wants all those things. But that's not why he came to you. He came for your love. See, this is what he said. He said, love me. That's all I've ever asked. When your heart motive for me is love, you will always be in the right place. At the right time, doing the right thing. Religious people and even some of my other followers will be offended at your love offering, but give it anyway. It may cost all you have, but give it anyway. I will see your heart. I will appreciate your offering. Mary gave me something none of the disciples had at this point. She loved me to the point of laying down her own life. And this is what he said. He said, 3 things shall remain: faith, hope, love. And the greatest of these is love. See, we think that he wants Martha's. We think he wants the feast prepared and everything in order and this and that and this and that. We think he wants the spotless house to come into. We think if he shows up at our doorstep today, he wants all the Tupperware organized and the lids in order by color. And don't get me wrong, he loves you if that's what you do, okay? And I'm not condemning you, but I'm just telling you, I don't want you to feel condemned when you leave dirty dishes in the sink to spend time with him. And I don't want you to feel condemned when the rug hasn't been steamed and mopped and the floor hasn't been mopped and the house isn't spotless and you go spend time with him. I don't want you to feel condemned if you wake up early and you spend time with him instead of catching up on laundry or doing, or mowing the lawn or fixing the truck or doing whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing. The enemy will always whisper, there's something else you're supposed to be doing. Because the one thing he doesn't want is for you to spend time with the Lord. Because you come away looking like him and smelling like him. You just can't help it. It just happens. So, keep your heart motive. Jesus is always talking about heart motive. He talked about, you think it's a sin to lay with another person. I said it's a sin to look on another person in lust. See, what he was doing was he was taking things all the way back from the actions, murder and lust and fornication, and he took them all the way back to the heart motive. And he said, the heart motive here was lust. The heart motive here was jealousy. The heart motive here was anger. And anger and speaking ill of your brother is the same as murdering them. Why? Because in your heart, it's the same. In your heart, you did the same thing, and you said the same thing in your heart. So Jesus is always, always, always after our heart. And if we will keep our heart motive pure, it says guard your heart above all else. If we'll keep our heart motive pure, then it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing or how we're doing it. As long as we're doing it unto Him, then it's right and it's good. May I make mistakes in these videos? All the time. Do I have it all together? No. Is my heart motive to Him pure? Yes. I'm not doing this so that people can be like, oh, look at you. I'm not doing this because I need an audience or I need approval or I need applause. I'm doing this because He told me to. So don't let condemnation in. Don't let that Martha spirit whisper about what you've left undone. Just sit at His feet. Just spend time with Him. And if you fall in love with Him so much that you end up pouring your entire life at His feet and drying your feet with His drying His feet with your hair, then that is all He could ever want from you. That life, that kind of laid down life, will change the world. It doesn't tell anywhere in this word, anywhere in the Bible, it doesn't say anything about Mary performing crazy miracles, about Mary going to the ends of the earth, sharing the gospel. It says none of those things. But nobody said that she was any less valuable than Peter or Paul or James or John, because she laid down her life for love, for Jesus. And He was honored by that and blessed by that. So be encouraged. Spend some time with Him, even if your sink has dirty dishes in it. And choose the first things first. Choose the best things. And He'll come in and He'll help you. And He'll give you grace and strength for everything else. But if your heart motive for Him is not love, then you're in the wrong place.